Hey, hey, rock stars. Happy Wednesday. We are here for office hours. I originally tried to start this on my desktop just like I did last week, but it wasn't sharing my camera. It was just a black screen. So I'm on my phone, which is fine because my webcam doesn't focus right. Anyway, it's just life, right? So, thank you for being here today. And if you're watching this later, as always, please pop your questions in the comments and I will come back and answer them for you. So today, I want to talk all about productivity because I have a very special gift for you guys that I am going to pop in the comments as soon as I'm done. And, I've done maybe one or two office hours before on productivity and kind of like batching and some of the scheduling tools that I use and things to make my life easier. But I have learned so much in the last 6 months or so. So I really wanted to regroup and talk about my methods now, some of the things that I've changed, and the things that I'm finding are really working for me. So I would say the biggest change that I've made is when I sit down on Sunday evening to plan out my week and what it's going to look like. The last thing I do is the brain dump to-do list, like the just writing out the whole, like everything that I can think of or that's on my calendar or whatever. The very first thing that I do when I sit down to plan out my week is I decide what the one thing is that I need to accomplish this week in order to make money or move my business forward. Whether it's I'm in the middle of a launch, so I'm planning something, and that's the one thing that needs to happen this week so I can get to that launch and the making money. Hey, Jen. Or, I have a big client, might watch it every week, Melanie. You're so sweet. How's it going? Or I have some big client thing that I'm doing. That's a deliverable that's where my income is coming from that week. So instead of starting off my planning for the week with minutia and tidbits, I start with what is the one thing that I have to accomplish this week that's going to make me money or move my business forward to the next making money. The second thing that I do when I sit down to plan my week, after the one thing, what are my top 3 priorities? So I've got my one thing done. What are my top 3 priorities? And that is very different week to week, depending on what I have going on. Like this week, I need to make changes to my Opt-in Awesomeness course based on feedback from my beta testers. Make those changes and roll that out to everyone who has who bought in from the pre-sale and then out to the public. And I have 2 custom digital marketing strategies that I am doing for clients this week. And those are top priority. Start with the one thing, the most important item. Yes. And those are the priority as far as that's my client service. I want to over deliver. I want to totally like dazzle and amaze and make them wonder how they got by without me for so long. So it's not necessarily the one thing, but it definitely falls into the top 3 priorities. The next thing I do, number 3, is I go through my calendar and I look at all my appointments, whether it's meetings or whether that's online or in person, personal or business. And put those in there so I know exactly what's going on, because then I have time to figure out what from the to-do list I'm going to put in the rest of the space. So number 1 is the one thing. Number 2 is top 3 priorities. Number 3 is putting in my appointments. Number 4 is then brain dumping the to-do list. What is everything I really need to accomplish this week? Realizing that maybe a handful of those things are going to get pushed to next week if I run out of time, but it's really just the brain dump point. And then I see where those to-do lists items are going to fit into my days based on my daily theme. What is a daily theme? So if you've been here a while, you might know that several months ago, I put in a editable calendar that was in a spreadsheet where I I day block based on key things in my business. So I found that time blocking for me was a little too constrictive. It's not really how I work. So I day block. Sunday for me is planning, preparation. Monday for me is marketing my business. So what am I doing to market my business, whether that's a launch or a course or whatever it is. Tuesdays is all client work. I really love, Mondays I typically have meetings. I take client appointments, that kind of stuff. Tuesday is my client work day. It's my sweats, my hair up, no makeup, whatever. I am just like in it at my desk all day. I don't talk to anybody, nothing. It's my get it done client work day. Wednesdays, I work on websites, whether that's client websites, because I do build Squarespace websites, or it's working on my own website, whether I need to stand up a sales page or whatever it is. Thursdays, I create all my content for myself. So content that I create for clients usually happens on Tuesdays. Content for myself happens on Thursdays, whether that's writing a blog, scheduling out and batching my social media for the month, whatever it is. And Fridays, I have off from work because my kiddo is home with me on Fridays. So random stuff, tying up loose ends, all of that kind of thing happens on Friday and kind of over the weekend. But by day blocking, I can look at my to-do list and see, okay, if I've got, I need to schedule all these posts for the Biz Launch Bomb thing that I'm doing right now. That's going to happen on Thursdays. If I am setting up the webinar that's going to happen in May, that's going to happen on Monday because it's all about marketing. So if you're like me, where you find really constrictive time blocking to just not work with your brain or your energy level or whatever it is, day blocking definitely helps to kind of still give you a schedule and some cohesion and some structure without feeling constrictive and then feeling like you're failing because you're not sticking to it. So that is really how I plan my week. The other thing that I have implemented is CEO hour. So if you're a solopreneur, this whole we're super busy, we're wearing all the hats. What do you outsource? What do you not outsource? All that kind of stuff. And I got this idea from Megan Flatt, who, if you might remember, is Mama CEO, and she guest Facebook Live, I think it was a couple months ago now. And what I was finding towards the beginning of the year was I did all this great planning. I did a 90-day plan. I had all this kind of stuff, mapped out top level. And then I got into my business and was spending so much time not even bringing my head up. I was just slogging through, checking off the Post-its and the to-dos and working in my business like an employee and not on it like a top-level VP CEO. So every Thursday, because Thursday is kind of the end of my week, although there never really is an end to any of it. Thursday, the last hour of the day before I go and pick up my kiddo from preschool, I have CEO hour, and that is where I sit. And sometimes I will sit and stare. This is my project planning window. I will stare at this window and be like, is this still relevant? Have I already done this? Maybe I need to define this better. Oh, I need to do this week, or I forgot about this idea. And it is that top level working on my business and the flow and the big picture instead of working in it. Because when I spend too much time and too much energy working in my business, I get burnt out and I start not liking my business. And I think all of us can kind of relate to that. So at least once a week, stepping out of worker bee and the big picture and the passion and all of that, super necessary for me to continue to be productive for the times that I do have to work in my business. Thank you for all the hearts, Galicia. I know you get it, sister. And then how do you deal with days when the many people aren't letting you get anything done? Do you transfer it? Okay, so yeah. So you and I are in a little different situation, Jen, because I have one child and you have 5. And my child is in preschool 4 days a week. So I have work time. However, there are lots of things. I'm one of those people that Sunday night, I'm like, I can do all the things this week, right? And then it ends up being Thursday CEO hour. And I'm like, crap. And I know I'm not going to get much done on Friday. One of the things that I've kind of implemented since Bryn was born, because I've been working from home since she was born, is I have her area in my office. And if there's something where I'm just like, I've got to get this done and I've got to sit here and do this, I'll set her up in my office with painting and activity, whatever. And I know that it's going to be maybe 30, 45 minutes before she's like bored, wants to do something else, wants my attention, but at least I can get a little bit done. Tyler's getting me. Okay, he sleeps from 11 to 2. Yeah. One of the biggest things that I figured out when I was a new mama was how to break things into 15-minute chunks of to-dos instead of like a big to-do. And I didn't sleep. So, right, you just kind of gotta, like, it is what it is, and this too shall pass, and, I'm just waiting for the day that Bryn can pour me coffee before I even get out of bed. I'm waiting for that day. So, and I'll be honest, I have 2 computer screens or monitors, and I am not above like her sitting next to me in a chair and watching an hour of videos on YouTube or PBS Kids or whatever while I do something on the other computer monitor. Right? So, really, if you have to get it done, just get it done. I do work a lot after Bryn goes to bed. One of the reasons I started this journey was being able to be flexible with my schedule. And it's not that I have more free time. It's not that like, oh, I'm just doing this part-time because I'm a mom. Like, I love that I'm able to stop working at 4:00 and spend the next 3 hours having family time. But that often means that I'm going back to work from 8 to 10 or 11 at night. Even if I'm working from my phone, Instagramming for clients as I've got Gilmore Girls on Netflix in the living room just to have a little downtime or whatever. My downtime with work is being able to do it from my phone. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's just, every day is different. Energy levels are different depending on whether it was a, crappy night's sleep with the kiddos or not. There are some days where it goes in the fuck it bucket. Like, that's just going to get done later, and I have to be sane, and I'm on the edge, so I just have to give myself some space. So, yes, and yay, Gilmore Girls. So that actually feeds into my next topic, which is refocusing. When you're talking about productivity, and I was talking about how getting in the slog of like working in my business, 0 F's given, Buck. Yes. And it's not that I will not give an F forever. It's that right now I can't. And so you just have to let it go. So one of the things I found, fuck it, bucket. Yes, you're welcome. One of the things that I have found is when I start getting into that slog of like head down, working in my business, employee mindset, exhausted, I start to get less and less productive, and I start to get really anxious. A lot of anxiety, a lot of dissatisfaction, and a lot of, I can't focus on anything. And I have been able to give myself the space to go, you know what? I recognize how that feels. I recognize what's going on. And I've been able to give myself permission to like, you know what? From 2 to 4 today, instead of slogging through more work, I need to, take those 2 hours and take a nap or journal or go for a walk or watch something on Netflix. And I'm going to hit it hard tonight as soon as the kiddo goes to bed. As long as you are committed to, if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen. So I used to be like, I feel like crap. I've got some major anxiety coming up. I'm irritated. Whatever. And I would like diminishing returns. Like the more I would try and get control of it and the more I would try and be productive, the less productive I actually was. And what I find is being in tune with that and recognizing when I'm getting to that point of like, this is going downhill quick and I'm no good to anyone, of giving myself that space, knowing, okay, but I need to come back to this later or get up early tomorrow or whatever it is. Giving yourself that time to be refreshed ends up making you more productive when you come back to work. So that is definitely something new that I have implemented that I did not, I was not able to do before. So, that's kind of, I could talk all day long about like batching content and scheduling and, all this other stuff, outsourcing, yada, yada. But I have somebody else that's going to do that for me. So my super special surprise for everyone is a very generous gift from the leader of the mastermind group that I am in, that Jen is in as well, and Galicia is in as well, Amber McHugh, who runs Freshly Implemented. This program has been life-changing for me in my business. I have been so inspired by the way Amber does business, and the way it's helped me change the way that I do business and my productivity and my focus and my, I've always been a very determined individual, but just my focus and like, okay, I can do this and that support. Amber has a program called How to Clone Yourself. So this was a program I think she put together last year, like a year and a half ago. Jen or Galicia, I'm not sure if you know when that rolled out. But she is going through some rebranding of it. And so right now she's offering this course, which is a 4-week workshop program for $5. $5. And because we're in her mastermind group in this Freshly Implemented program, she has told us that it is okay for us to gift this to our people. So just to give you an indication, I have the sales page pulled up here, and I'm going to pop the link in the comments as soon as we're done. So week 1, determining what you are doing now that you shouldn't be doing, right? That's that employee mindset. What you're not doing now that you should be doing, that goes back to the one thing where you need to be focusing on what's making you money and what do you need to accomplish to move your business forward. That CEO level, recognizing what you need to outsource. So I realized, I guess about a year ago, Peter helps me a lot in this group with a lot of stuff that I have to do with clients, that I just realized I'm not the expert. I'm not great at Photoshop. I'm a hack. I can do it, but it takes me way more time to do it than it should. And it's the stuff that I don't need to be doing for my business to strategize. And so I realized pretty quickly that that was something I needed to outsource for. So that's just week 1. Week 2 is, okay, so you want to clone yourself. Now what do you do? Where does your clone come from, that outsource? How to do the interview and how to actually make an offer, like how to structure all of this. So I think this is something that's really, really intimidating to people as you think about, okay, for me, like my client content that needs to be scheduled and put through Photoshop for their logo and watermark and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't need to be doing that. How do I find somebody? How do I know what to interview? Like, what skills? Like, how is this going to look? How do I make the offer? How is this structured? That's really intimidating, and it can be a roadblock for a lot of solopreneurs that are trying to reach that tipping point of really only doing their zone of genius and the things that they should be doing in their business as the CEO. So that's week 2. Week 3, getting organized. Hello. Don't we all need a little bit of that? Getting your operations in place. This has been something, talk about productivity. Another thing that I've changed has been documenting my systems. So this is where Opt-in Awesomeness came about, because of learning from Amber. When I did an opt-in with lead pages, lead boxes, ConvertKit, my email marketing with my blog, I documented every click and every piece of that entire process so that when I did it, it would only take me an hour instead of 2 or 3. So when you're outsourcing, it's really, really important to have those systems in place so that whoever you're hiring out for knows exactly what to do and exactly how you do it. That's been a huge productivity key for me. And the more I outsource, having those systems in place is going to help that go more and more smoothly. And then how to work with your clone or your outsourcer as far as tools and strategies and communications and all that kind of stuff, which is super essential. And then week 4 is about leadership, starting off right, motivation, all that good stuff. So again, this is a super amazing offer to get this entire program for $5 that she has offered to those of us in her group and has allowed us to offer it to our own people, which you're rock stars, you're my people. So, that is pretty much it for today. Again, not so much talking about the method behind like scheduling, batching, productivity, but talking about how do you reset your brain? How do you think about your week? How do you prioritize? How do you make that time to work on your business instead of in it? And, give yourself that time to refocus if you need it so you can be more productive when you come back. So I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. And again, if there's any questions, pop them in. Jen, thanks for asking questions. And I will talk to you all very soon. See you later.